Jeff with the Big Shooters channel. Thanks for tuning in. I was asked to do a video quite a while ago. I've had a little bit of time, finally got around to it, for Modern Musket. They're a fantastic Facebook page, a wonderful cause, and their entire mission statement is kind of educating people that the firearms we use today are the equivalent, the modern musket, if it will, of the firearms that were used when the Bill of Rights was originally penned. And I think they're onto something. Today we're going to show you why this is absolutely not an assault weapon. Stick around. So, the term assault weapon gets thrown around pretty loosely, and I know what it means, and most of you know what it means. But you have to remember that when dealing with politicians, most of these people have rectal cranial insertion disorder, and they don't know what it means. They don't know which end of the firearm or a projectile comes out from. So words mean things, and we have to be very specific when we're talking to them. The entire concept of assault weapon came from the late 1980s and early 1990s when Josh Sugarman of the Violence Policy Center found out that he could confuse the general public, the average person, into believing that when they were speaking about semi-automatic firearms, at the time a 100-year-old design, semi-auto, one squeeze of the trigger, that those firearms were equivalent to modern machine guns just by calling them assault weapons and getting the help of the media a little bit with some imagery. So whenever they were speaking of these semi-automatic guns, they would show some video clips of some full auto guns firing, and it clicked. And before you know it, 1994 rolled around, we got the assault weapons ban. Most of you know that these were just cosmetic features that banned firearms. Had absolutely nothing to do with the action. These were guns that were just like Grandpa's 100-year-old hunting rifle, with some plastic furniture and some add-ons, like a bayonet lug, or a muzzle brake, or a flash hider, or a pistol grip. And somehow these magically transformed these guns into something special that had to be more heavily regulated than the other firearms. Now, the real kicker is that most of the firearms that they wanted to regulate under this new scary assault weapon class type of firearm is that the guns regulated were typically ballistically inferior to firearms that were not regulated. They didn't bother with the 30-06 Remington 742s. They didn't bother with these guns because they knew that no one would look at that gun and associate it with the scare tactics that they were trying to use. The ones that they banned, most of them, were 7.62 by 39, equivalent pretty close to a 30-30, and 223, a very small, typically 55 or 62 grain projectile rifle. And if you look at the ballistics on those, they're not even close. But let's not confuse facts with fiction and what buys votes, and that's what the politicians vote on. Now, Josh Sugarman and Sarah Brady and this whole group of gun grabbers all band together and got on this bandwagon. And again, we had the 1994 ban, and you might be asking yourself, hey Gooba, why are you bringing this up now? It expired in 2004 on a federal level. Well, it did. But here's the problem. We're going into an election season. Absolutely everything that happens involving a firearm, good, bad, or otherwise, is going to be blamed on you and on me, and we haven't done anything, and assault weapons, especially the ones that are not real assault weapons that don't exist. So today, we're going to give a reminder, kind of a shout out to all of you who know people that say, well, why do you need an AR-15 or why do you need an AK-47? We're going to give them some simple answers. Assault weapons, real assault weapons, very highly regulated, full auto, banned for individual ownership since May 19th of 1986. There really isn't much you can buy out there for under $10,000 anymore. And the last I checked the crime stats, people didn't spend 10 grand on a gun, go through 8 months worth of paperwork to go rob a 7-Eleven for $35. It doesn't happen. It's all symbolism over substance and smoke and mirrors, and it doesn't exist anywhere but in their heads for buying votes. So let's show you the difference between an assault weapon, a select fire firearm, and a semi-automatic firearm that looks like an assault weapon. This is a Core 15, semi-automatic, 223, one shot every time you squeeze the trigger. This is not an assault weapon. I'll demonstrate. One shot. Exciting stuff, huh? No, it's not an assault weapon. One shot per squeeze of the trigger. That last firearm is the one that they like to talk about when they show the imagery of the machine gun, or imply or insinuate that that's what they're talking about. Machine guns are not what they're talking about at all. They're talking about semi-automatic firearms that look like machine guns. Like this. POF USA P416 machine gun. This is an assault weapon, and like I mentioned before, very highly regulated, and none have been manufactured since May 19th of 1986 that a citizen or an individual can even own. I'll demonstrate what a real assault weapon looks like. Pretty much the same? Nah, nothing like it. The other gun can't do this. That is an assault weapon, not the first one. And this is not what they're talking about when they construct their legislation. How about this gun? Is this gun an assault weapon? In its current configuration under the federal legislation, no. It's a Ruger Mini 30, fires 7.62 by 39, same cartridge that the AK family of firearms use. Not an assault weapon. They couldn't pass this one off as an assault weapon and ban it because too many people would identify that it looks just like Grandpa's guns. And it does. Now, in their bastardized versions of their legislation, should you put a folding stock on it, large capacity magazine, flash hider, a bayonet lug, pistol grip somehow, then it's magically transformed into an assault weapon. But I'm here to tell you, it is not. No matter what it looks like, this is how it functions. That's it. One shot per squeeze of the trigger, regardless of whether there's black plastic furniture on it or wood. This is not an assault weapon under any circumstances. How about this gun? Is this an assault weapon? Look at it close. Can't tell if it's an assault weapon. Neither can our legislators. So they like to demonize them with the cosmetic features. I'll fire it, and you tell me if it's an assault weapon. Well, still up in the air. One shot per squeeze of the trigger. Let's move it to here. Now let's try it. This is an assault weapon. to full automatic, not the guns they're trying to ban. That's a real assault weapon, and it's not even on the list, not even on the radar of the politicians. The politicians are trying to ban the semi-autos that look just like it. Pathetic, isn't it? So let's summarize. When the politicians are talking about an assault weapon, they're not talking about an assault weapon. It's double talk. They're talking about a 100-plus-year-old design, just like your grandfather's old hunting rifle, that isn't a problem, never has been a problem. They're trying to make people believe they're talking about firearms that are already highly regulated, that are true assault weapons. They're masters of deception. So my point with this whole video is to give you some ammunition to explain to people who are not involved in the industry, that see the misleading news reports and see the misleading lying statistics, and ask you with sincerity, well, why would you want to own that? And we could do an entirely new video on not living in a needful society and not having to give a reason to own anything. This is only in comparing semis to full autos. But you can let them rest assured that in Congress's infinite wisdom, on a voice vote on the Hughes Amendment, machine guns were banned from manufacture for individual ownership as of May 19th of 1986. And those are not the firearms that the politicians will be speaking about the next time they find opportunity in it. And that's it. Modern Musket's whole gig is to teach people that regardless of the firearm you have, it's simply the modern version of the musket, which was the firearm of the military in the day of the writing. That's all. And it makes all the sense in the world. If the people that would like to ban certain types of firearms because they didn't exist when the Bill of Rights and the Constitution was written, well, then you ask them how they would like their media to be limited to standing on a soapbox in a corner and yelling, or what they could do with a quill pen, because that's what they had in the day. They didn't have the broadcast television. They didn't have the massive printing presses that they have today. They didn't have the internet. So if my rights are somehow invalid because they didn't exist during the writing, then their entire industry is absolutely invalid. It's as simple as that. Well, thanks for watching the video. I hope that you learned a little from it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Hope I didn't bore you too much. I know it wasn't a real action-packed kind of thing, but it's pretty important. We're getting close to an election season, and they're going to pull out all the stops. So I want everybody to be armed with the most important weapon of all, and that's information. Check out the guys at Modern Musket. Their Facebook page, Modern Musket, is terrific. It's full of information, and they're great people, and they're doing it for all the right reasons. If you liked our video, please subscribe, unless it's on this side. Tell your friends about it and share it in all your social media areas, and we'll get back to the exciting videos very soon. Till next time, have fun and be safe. Exciting stuff, huh?
Bye.